Have you ever wished that you could understand English without translating every single word? Today, I have a small challenge for you. Don't pause this video. Don't open a dictionary. Don't worry about grammar. Just relax and listen carefully. This story uses very simple English, easy words, short sentences. Imagine every scene, like a movie. If you understand this story, your English is already getting better, and by the end of this video, you may surprise yourself. Ready? Let's begin. Emma was 20 years old. She lived in a quiet little town every morning. She woke up before sunrise because she loved peaceful mornings. She opened her window, and fresh air filled her room. The birds were singing. The trees moved gently. In the cool morning wind, everything felt calm. Everything felt safe. Emma smiled. She made a cup of warm coffee, put on her light brown jacket, picked up her small bag, and left her house. She worked in a small bookstore, only 15 minutes away. She never took the bus. She loved walking, because every street, every tree, and every smiling face made her day a little brighter. On her way, there was a beautiful park with old trees, small flowers, and a wooden bench. Emma always stopped there for 1 minute before going to work. But today, something was different. As she walked closer, she noticed an old woman sitting alone on the bench. She was holding a small blue notebook very tightly. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes were full of tears. She looked frightened, as if something terrible had just happened. Hundreds of people walked past her. Some looked at her, but nobody stopped. Nobody asked if she was okay. Emma slowed down. She looked at the old woman again. Something inside her heart told her to stop. She walked closer, smiled gently, and asked, "Excuse me, are you all right?" The old woman slowly looked up. She wanted to answer, but no words came out. She looked around the park, as if she was afraid that someone was watching her. Emma sat beside her, without saying anything. For a few quiet seconds, they both stayed silent. Then the old woman whispered, "I don't know who I can trust anymore." Emma looked surprised. She quietly asked, "What happened?" The old woman looked at the blue notebook, then looked back at Emma. "This notebook is the only thing I have left." Emma became curious. She asked softly, "Why is it so important?" The old woman closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and said, "Everything I love is inside this notebook. Every memory, every promise, every secret." Emma looked confused. It was only a notebook. How could a simple notebook hold so much? Before Emma could ask another question, the old woman suddenly grabbed her hand. Her voice became weak, but very serious. She said, "If anything happens to me, promise me, you will never let this notebook fall into the wrong hands." Emma's heart started beating faster. She didn't understand what was happening, but one thing was clear. This was not an ordinary morning anymore. Emma's heart started beating faster. She didn't understand what was happening, but one thing was clear. This was not an ordinary morning anymore. She looked into the old woman's eyes. They were filled with fear, real fear, the kind of fear that cannot be hidden. Emma spoke softly, "Don't worry, I'm here." The old woman slowly nodded, but she kept looking toward the entrance of the park. Emma turned her head. 2 tall men were walking slowly. They were looking around, as if they were searching for someone. The old woman whispered, "Don't let them see me, please." Emma became nervous. She quietly moved a little closer, trying to hide the old woman behind her shoulder. One of the men stopped. He looked directly toward the bench. Emma quickly looked away, pretending everything was normal. The old woman took a deep breath, then said, "Listen carefully. I don't have much time." Emma nodded. "I'm listening." The old woman gently placed the blue notebook into Emma's hands. It felt old, but surprisingly heavy. Emma looked confused. "Why are you giving this to me?" The old woman smiled sadly. "Because you have kind eyes. My husband always said, kind people can be trusted." Emma didn't know what to say. She had never met this woman before, yet somehow she felt connected. The old woman slowly opened the first page. There was a beautiful sentence written in blue ink. It said, "Life becomes beautiful when memories are protected." Emma smiled. "That is beautiful." The old woman nodded. "Every page holds a memory. Every memory holds a lesson. Every lesson changed our lives." Emma carefully turned. The next page, there was a small drawing of a little house beside a river. Under it, someone had written, "Home is not a place. Home is the people who love you." Emma looked at the old woman. "Did your husband write all this?" The old woman smiled. "Every single word. For 40 years. He wrote one page every day. Even when he was sick, even when life was difficult, he never missed a day." Emma slowly turned. Another page. She expected another story. But this page was completely blank. She turned another page. Blank again, then another. Still blank. Emma looked surprised. She asked, "Why are these pages empty?" The old woman gave a gentle smile. "They are not empty." Emma looked again. "I can't see anything," the old woman whispered. "You can't?" "Not yet." Emma frowned. "What do you mean?" The old woman looked around, once more, making sure nobody was close enough to hear them. Then she leaned forward and spoke very softly. "These pages appear only when the time is right." Emma stared at her. She wanted to believe her, but it sounded impossible. The old woman continued, "My husband believed that every person receives one chance to change someone else's life if they choose kindness instead of fear." Emma stayed silent. The words touched her heart. Suddenly, a loud voice broke the silence. "Excuse me, have you seen an old woman carrying a blue notebook?" Emma looked up immediately. One of the men was standing only a few steps away. He smiled politely, but his eyes felt cold, very cold. Emma forced herself to stay calm. She shook her head slowly. "No, I haven't seen anyone." The man looked at the notebook hidden under Emma's jacket for just a second. Then he smiled again. "If you see her, please tell us. We are her family. We are worried about her." Emma looked at the old woman. She quietly whispered, "Is he telling the truth?" The old woman's face turned completely pale. She slowly shook her head. "No, don't believe him, whatever happens. Don't give him the notebook." The old woman slowly shook her head. "No, don't believe him. Whatever happens, don't give him the notebook." Emma felt a cold chill run through her body. She looked at the man again. He was still smiling, but something about his smile didn't feel real. His eyes never left Emma's jacket, as if he already knew. The notebook was hidden inside. Emma took a slow breath, trying to stay calm. She smiled politely and said, "I'm sorry. I really don't know who you're looking for." The man looked at her for a few long seconds. Then he quietly nodded. "If you remember anything, please let us know." He turned around and walked away. But after only a few steps, he stopped, looked back one last time, then disappeared behind the tall trees. Emma waited until she could no longer see him. Only then did she breathe normally again. She turned toward the old woman, but the bench was empty. Emma stood up immediately. She looked left, she looked right. The old woman was gone. It felt impossible. She had disappeared in only a few seconds. Emma searched around the park, calling softly, "Ma'am, Where are you? Please answer me. But only the sound of birds filled the quiet morning air. Emma slowly returned to the wooden bench. Then she noticed a small folded letter lying exactly where the old woman had been sitting. Her hands trembled as she opened it. The letter began, "Dear Emma, if you are reading this, it means I had to leave. Please don't try to find me. Some journeys must be completed alone. Thank you for choosing kindness when everyone else chose to walk away. My husband always believed that the world changes one kind person at a time. Today, that person was you." Emma smiled softly, but tears filled her eyes. She kept reading. "The notebook now belongs to you, not because it is magical, not because it is valuable, but because you stopped to help a stranger without expecting anything in return. Never lose that kindness. It is the greatest gift a person can have." Emma slowly closed the letter, then looked at the notebook again. She gently opened the first blank page. She smiled, because this time, the page was no longer empty. New words were slowly appearing right before her eyes. They said, "Today, Emma chose kindness, and because of one simple decision, someone smiled again, someone found hope again, someone believed the world still has good people." Emma couldn't believe what she was seeing. She looked around. The park was peaceful again. The wind moved gently through the trees. The morning sun shined brightly. Everything looked exactly the same. But